Hello and welcome back to GCSE lessons. Today we will be continuing with our topic 1 and 2, cell biology. However, today we'll be moving on to mitosis, which is 1.4. I wanted to do 1.3, but I couldn't get a hold of a microscope. So I will be doing that later once I get a microscope, because I feel like that's the best way to learn about a microscope, is actually seeing how a microscope works. So 1.4 mitosis, here we go. So we start with chromosomes. In order to survive and grow, our cells have got to be able to divide, and that means our DNA as well. Chromosomes contain genetic information. Most cells in your body have a nucleus. The nucleus contains your genetic material in the form of chromosomes. Chromosomes are coiled up lengths of DNA molecules. Body cells normally have 2 copies of each chromosome. This makes them diploid cells. One chromosome comes from the organism's mother and one comes from its father. When a cell divides by mitosis, it makes 2 cells identical to the original cell. The nucleus of each new cell contains the same number of chromosomes as the original cell. Now we start with the cell cycle. The cell cycle makes new cells for growth and repair. Body cells and multicellular organisms divide to produce new cells during a process called the cell cycle. Multicellular organisms use mitosis to grow or to replace cells that have been damaged. Some organisms use mitosis to reproduce. This is called asexual reproduction. You need to know about the main stages of the cell cycle. The first stage is interphase. In a cell that's not dividing, the DNA is all spread out in long strings. You can see in the diagrams that the DNA looks very, very dark, and that's because it's supercoiled, so it's more visible on a microscope. This is a micrograph there, so it will be more visible on a microscope once it supercoils. Before it divides, the cell has to grow and increase the amount of subcellular structures, such as mitochondria and ribosomes. It then replicates its DNA, so there's 1 copy for each new cell. The DNA is copied and forms X-shaped chromosomes. Each arm of the chromosome is an exact duplicate of the other. The left arm has the same DNA as the right arm, and each arm is called a chromatid. The next stage of the cell cycle is mitosis and cytokinesis. Warning, do not mix up mitosis and the cell cycle. Mitosis is part of the cell cycle. Interphase is not part of mitosis, but is part of the cell cycle. Once the cell's subcellular structures and DNA have been copied, the cell is ready for mitosis. Mitosis is divided into 4 stages, as you can see in the diagrams. The first stage is prophase. The chromosomes condense, getting shorter and fatter. The membrane around the nucleus breaks down, and the chromosomes lie free in the cytoplasm. Metaphase. The chromosomes line up at the center of the cell, or the centromere. Anaphase. Spindle fibers pull the chromosomes apart. Then the chromatids are pulled to opposite ends of the cell, as you can see there. As you can see here on another micrograph, the spindle fibers are pulling the chromatids to opposite ends of the cell, or opposite poles. And then you have telophase. Membranes form around each of the sets of chromosomes. These become the new nuclei of the 2 new cells. Before telophase ends, the cytoplasm and cell membrane divide to form 2 separate cells. This process is called cytokinesis. At the end of mitosis, the cell has produced 2 new daughter cells. Each daughter cell contains exactly the same sets of chromosomes in its nucleus as the other daughter cell. They're genetically identical diploid cells. They're also genetically identical to the parent cell. Now, sometimes in the exam they ask you to calculate the final number of cells after a set amount of cell divisions. You can calculate the number of cells that will be after multiple divisions of a cell by mitosis. The formula you need is number of cells is equal to 2 to the power of n, where n is the number of divisions by mitosis. For example, If they tell you a cell divides by mitosis 5 times, how many cells are present after this process? So you multiply 2 by itself for the number of divisions to find the number of cells. So 2 to the power of 5, because you have 5 divisions, which gives you 32 new identical cells. That will be it for today, and that is the whole of 1.4 mitosis that you need to know. Make sure to learn it. Mitosis is a bit tricky. It's a long process, but once you get the steps right, you can't get it wrong. So just keep going through it. Keep knowing the steps, the key organelles that are involved, the key structures that are involved, and you should be fine. Next video we will be starting with topic 2, also related to cell biology, and then I will do the rest of topic 1 and 2, which are not related to cell biology, that you need to know. And I will see you then. Please like and subscribe.